What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Wingin podcast, a live reaction. Forgot to do the doggone intro.
Hey,
Oh well.
it is what it
One
is.
second. One second.
They know what it is.
It's only 31 seconds. 1 second. All right, sorry about that. I'm proud of the longest slide of all time. So, all right, people. So, everybody, y'all ready for the foolishness? Yeah, y'all ready for the foolishness?
Look, man. Hey, like we said before, because I think the last podcast we did, me and Jay were like, okay, we might have to jump into this PC realm. Now, by no means am I like, okay, forget Xbox. I'm selling my stuff. They owe me. I support you. No, I mean, I was going to always get one regardless of the fact, because like I was saying before we came on, with kids, it's a lot easier to have handheld devices, having, different things for you to play. So like, I didn't go full PC. I went the Rogue Ally route after reading all the doom and gloom and then realizing there were real fixes behind it. But ultimately, I mean, this is not going to stop me from, keeping my Xbox. But understand that they're trying to do something different, and even though from somebody that's seen it, but I knew what their plan was from jump. Xbox has already expressed like we're trying to be everywhere, and we've said it before. Look at Microsoft Office; it is everywhere. Like they don't care. Now, granted, will it work better in certain areas on like Windows devices? For sure, but when it comes down to where you can get it anywhere. It's just if you want the best experience, you better get it on the device that it was made for.
Yeah, I will say this. I'm looking forward to this just because of the simple fact that some of y'all have lost y'all goddamn mind.
For real.
Like, I'm sorry, if I buy a console, to me is a investment. I'm not, if I do my due diligence, I'm not finna sit up and throw something away that I spent my money on.
Who are you telling?
Man.
I wish I would.
The fact that people were so heartbroken is what made me laugh.
Yeah. I'm like, man, these folks ain't your friends. They don't know you.
They felt so betrayed. They felt so betrayed. They had to throw their consoles in the trash can and take a picture of it. I'm like, really?
How you feel betrayed like that? You act like damn Microsoft slept with your girlfriend or something.
Hey, listen. Phil Spencer might get around. We don't know.
Yeah,
we don't know. Yeah,
we know he like to use the troll characters on Smash Brothers. We know that much. But
well, look, we can't put it past him. Then.
Yeah, can't put it past him. Sandstorm, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. How are y'all?
I mean, with the fabulous beard as always. See.
Listen, I know nothing of what's going down. I mean, I know everything, but I know nothing of what's going down. So I just want to let y'all know I'm in the dark about what we're about to watch, about specifics and stuff like that. I pride myself in staying off of Twitter when stuff like this happens, like directs and all the funny business. So yeah, if y'all see a facial expression from me that looks like I'm surprised by something, chances are I'm probably surprised.
Well, I ain't watching either, so me, you in the same boat.
Look, I'm in the dark as well, so we all about to find out.
All right, now hopefully, any new fans that come to watch us, because for some reason we have
no. I gotta say it now. Listen, people, they're just jokes. If you can't handle a joke, please just don't say it.
Step away. Yeah,
leave it at that.
I will give you the customary count to the count of 10 to watch somebody else.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, let's get the foolishness.
They gone by now. They gone by now.
The foolishness started.
Hello and welcome to the official Xbox podcast. I'm your host, Tina Emily, and we have a very special episode today. As you can probably tell by the fact that I'm joined by Phil,
if you
Sarah,
can't look
and
rich,
Matt.
you
Welcome.
can't do it at all.
And we're going to talk about some updates at Xbox. We want to talk about game exclusivity. We want to talk about Activision Blizzard now that they're part of our portfolio, how that might be an impact on Game Pass. And we want to talk about hardware too and how all of this fits into the strategy at Xbox. So where should we start?
I'm going to say this thing already went live.
When we originally had planned for the show, starting back in December, I think we probably would have started with Activision Blizzard, maybe talked a little bit about the exclusivity with some of the news coming up, and then hardware. But we've had some unforeseen news that has come out. So let's just go and tackle the exclusivity question, because I know it's on the minds of a lot of people. We hear from the community, and that's an important input for us. So we made the decision that we're going to take 4 games to the other consoles, just 4 games.
In other words, they're not making money with us, so we're going to come on other platforms.
It is, we're making these decisions for some specific reasons. We make every decision really with the long-term health of Xbox in mind. And long-term health of Xbox means a growing platform, our games performing, building the best platform for creators, reaching as many players as we can. We're always looking to learn as a leadership team.
Is it just me, or does Phil Spencer look like he is stressed out as hell?
For us to
he does. It's like how he looked when they were doing the court case.
To help grow
it's
our
a conversation that he doesn't want to have.
So these 4 titles, what are they? Can you say?
I'm not going to name those games. The teams that are building those games have announced plans.
He wants to string along the PlayStation game.
As we know, game teams put a lot of energy into their announcements with the partners. So I don't want to take anything away from those teams. So I won't be talking about the titles specifically, but I think when they come out, it'll make sense.
Can we say if either of those titles are Starfield or Indiana Jones?
They are not Starfield or Indiana Jones.
Well, what was the criteria in how
we're not giving you that game
selecting those 4 titles?
Right.
Let me start a little bit outside of that, and then I'll get to the 4 specific games that we're talking about right now. Because the fundamental decision driver for any decision that we make, anything we're going to talk about today, is the long-term health of Xbox. That we're running a growing platform that is reaching more players, that our games are having as much success as possible. And I do have a fundamental belief that over the next 5 or 10 years, exclusive games that are
longer than that, they help the Dreamcast,
are going to be a smaller and smaller part of the game industry. And that's not some great insight, because if you look at the last 10 years and what the biggest games are today, it's a natural place. Whether it's one console and PC, multiple consoles, mobile console and PC, you see big games landing on multiple platforms. And we want to be a great platform for creators that are trying to realize that potential. But now back to
basically,
question on
if you read under my name, that's what Xbox
we looked
doing.
at games that are over a year old. So they've been on Xbox and PC for a while. A couple of the games are community-driven games, new games that kind of first iterations of a franchise that have reached their full potential, let's say, on Xbox and PC. There's always growth.
That's good.
Franchises that we obviously want to continue to invest in. Part of having the ability to continue to invest is that the businesses behind those franchises continue. We think it's important that these service-based games that have communities behind them, that they can have confidence that they're going to exist in the future. So 2 of them kind of community-driven games that will end up on other platforms and give us the ability to
Hi-Fi Rush,
in them. We think great for the business and great for the communities.
I haven't thought about the other 2 yet. Those are what I think
2 of the other games are smaller games that were never really meant to be built as kind of platform exclusive.
If they really smart that Overdrive, but that's if they can get that work
that our teams really wanted to build, that we love.
I think that's going to take some
endeavors
work
across our studios,
like
regardless of size. And as they've realized their full potential on Xbox and PC, we see an opportunity to utilize the other platforms as a place to just drive more business value out of those games, allowing us to invest in maybe future iterations of those, sequels to those, or just other games like that in our portfolio. And when we don't damage Xbox and we can grow our business using what other platforms have, and
y'all already damaged Xbox a while ago,
and that's really the story behind these 4 games. And the last thing I'll say, looking forward, I think
Yeah,
there is an interesting story
really
for us
screwed
of
Xbox.
introducing Xbox franchises to players on other platforms to get them more interested in Xbox. We think there's a good brand value for Xbox there. So 4 games, no promise beyond that. So if you're on those other platforms,
And
and
now-
By
you see
having
four
a
games
gaming
coming,
device,
please don't take
by
it as
having
they
a
don't
gaming
that
device, you have
everything's
an
coming.
Xbox.
It's not.
Now,
And we're going to learn.
Now I see why
So when you
the
are thinking
Nintendo
about the
partnership
future and
is-
this concept of
is
live
working.
service
I
games,
understand
games
it
that can
now.
benefit from bigger
Understand it.
audiences, new audiences, how does that apply to future titles and how you're applying that criteria there?
Yeah, there's really no fundamental change to how we think about exclusivity. We just came out of Developer Direct, which was an awesome show where we showed great
it was
games that are
alright.
coming to
It was
Xbox and PC and cloud, which really makes
Hey,
them
give 'em credit.
accessible to hundreds of millions of people.
They
So
did
it's
show
just kind
game
of,
after game after
really
game. I
focused on
wouldn't say it
the
was an
platforms and what's
incredible show.
there.
Yeah.
But our key
Decent.
play the games you want
Yes.
with the people you want, anywhere you want, when everybody plays, we all win. These have been part of our strategy for years and will continue to be. Our focus is
Y'all
on how
lying.
do we
That
continue
only
to grow
became
the
part of your
games
strategy
industry by
because
reaching
Xbox
more
One
players
did
in more
horrible
places,
for what y'all
and how
want.
do we grow Xbox as part of that? Xbox is a hardware platform, Xbox is a publisher of great games, and Xbox as a platform for the world's best creators.
Xbox
And
is the
knowing
big
that, how
third
do we think
party.
about our first party games and Game Pass?
Yeah, well, to build on what Phil just said, one thing I would add, when you were talking about growth, is
Yeah.
just that we've sort of seen this inversion over the last 5 years, where it used to be that the platform was the biggest thing,
That's right.
and the games
Please,
would sort of
no,
tuck
not
in
that.
within the
Matt,
platform.
don't make your
you have
last name be
games
your
like
verb.
Roblox or Fortnite that actually
Please,
Don't make your
games
last,
on the
not verb. Don't make your
and,
last name be
that
your
really has
adjective, bro.
changed the way that we think about things.
No.
So in the midst of all that, I think we
No,
at
the
First Party
platform is
go
still
back to
important
sort of
if
some
you can
core
actually sell
principles.
games on your
First, that all
platform.
of our games will
And
be
I
on
think
the
that's
Xbox
it. I don't think
platform.
they.
Second, all of our
Yeah.
games will go into Game Pass on day one. And third, we know that Game Pass will only be available
Game Pass for
on
the
Xbox.
Nintendo Switch.
So there's sort of starting points for us. As Phil mentioned, there are games today that you can play that only can be found on Xbox.
Like
And
it
at the
should
same
be.
time, we want to bring more of our games to more
Very few,
players. So we're going to
Matt. Very
continue
few.
to look at that. Kind of moving aside, though, from some of those and thinking more about what does it really mean for the
Yes,
player.
Exodia,
To
it is
me,
an
the
unfortunate
two
last
key
name.
things are cross-play and cross-save. Those things allow us to deliver on the promise of Xbox, which is play with your friends where they are, play on the devices you want, play the games you want. So that is really only possible at a practical level when you
Again,
know
if you
that you're
own a game
saves and your
console
player
or
can be able to
PC
move across
or a
all those
phone,
parts.
you own an
So
Xbox.
not all of our games today
Yeah, pretty much.
are necessarily built to take advantage of that. There still will be some games that don't. As we bring more teams into the Xbox family, there's some catch up to do as we get there. But that cross-play, cross-save is like so fundamental to what we're doing. And I think is something that we as First Party get such a good benefit from being so close to the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things, like you said,
I'm
all
not
of our
going to lie
games
though.
are
If
always
this
in Game
leads
Pass.
to
And so I'm
legitimate
excited to
console
announce,
wars where
with
people
the
play
coming
on
together
different
that we had
consoles
Activision
as a
Blizzard King,
team,
that
that would
Activision and
actually
Blizzard
make me
games
laugh.
are coming to Game Pass, starting with Diablo 4 on March 28th, which I'm super
Yes,
excited
I'm
to
so
share today.
surprised.
And it's all part of our commitment to make Xbox, the Xbox
So I was like,
experience and the
oh
games that we
well,
build as
moving
widely
on.
available as possible. So now the
I
34
literally
million Game
just
Pass
jumped on
members
there
can
30
all
minutes ago
enjoy
and it
the
said,
fantastic experience
you
of Diablo 4.
are on
Amazing.
PC.
Can we come back
You
to the point,
are
Phil, you mentioned at
able
the top, this
to
isn't really
crossplay
a
with other
change
players.
in
So expect
strategy for us.
other
Can you recap for
players
me
from
how
other
it isn't?
consoles. So I was
Yeah,
like,
and I
okay.
thought both Matt and Sarah did a really nice job of
I'm
talking about
thinking I'm
what we're doing
starting to
on
understand why
Xbox,
they have Sarah
where we're
Bond there.
going. You know,
Yeah, I
if
am
you
too.
take a platform
She's a
feature like Xbox
distraction.
Play Anywhere, which has been a promise that we've made on our first party games,
I mean-
that you can buy our game once, you're going to play across Xbox and Windows. I think we're the only platform that does this.
And she's doing
that
all
makes
like the
it
corporate
possible
talk
for
right
you
now.
Yeah,
not
she's
only
doing
to
the corporate
play
work.
with your
Yep.
friends wherever they are, but to know that you actually have multiple entitlements.
What you want
to
to
games.
bet that
I
they're
think
going to
that's
have a setup so that if
technology
you
I'd love to see
purchase a
applied to
game
more
from them
platforms.
anywhere, you can play it on
But it
any.
is this
You
view
only have to buy it once.
that
But
people
they're not
are
gonna
going to
call it
play
Game Pass.
Xbox in multiple
They're gonna
places.
call it something
Yeah,
else.
Whether it's play
they're
the
gonna
games
give
you
it a
want
whole
with the
different
people you
name.
want, anywhere you want,
Yep.
whether it's content community and cloud, whether
Yep.
it's when everybody plays, we all win. Like we've had different taglines, different strategy kind of words that we've used, but always with this view
I
that
think that
Xbox
there,
is a
oddly enough,
platform for
it sounds
creators who
like,
want to
and
reach the
people
most
might think it
players.
sounds weird for me to say
Our
it, but it
investments in
sounds like they're
xCloud, our
trying to
investments in
implement the stuff that
franchises
a
like
lot of said
Minecraft
a
and now
long time
all these
ago,
other large
Yep.
franchises, so
and
we
just
can
trying to
learn
turn it
how to
global.
build those.
Dude,
This has been a strategy that we've been
Phil, that's
on
all
for, I'd
Phil's been
say, a
doing since he
decade.
took over. You
It's
look at
not
what
about
Iwata
one
said, he's been
device.
following
It's
it
not about
for the most
games
or
and
I mean,
trying to.
it's a
services,
good
right?
playbook to
But
follow.
rather
No,
the
They
I'm
just had
trying to,
some
but yeah.
horrible
devices that people
missteps.
want to play on should be in service of making the
They have
games
had
as
some
big and
horrible
popular as
missteps.
they possibly could be.
And I wonder if
Because
that's
really, a
because of
healthy
shareholders,
creator
though.
community on Xbox, a healthy creator
Ooh,
community in
now
gaming,
that's
the
what
thing that
Blood and
all of us
Redfall
as
might be
gaming
those
players
games too
should be
that they
voting
might
for,
move over.
because that's the
Yeah.
thing that will
Yeah, I
change
mean,
the
I'm
investment
pretty
Oh
sure
model
like a Sea
and
of
gosh,
the
Thieves
growth
will
in this
come
industry.
over, a
And my
Hi-Fi
understanding,
Rush.
just
no,
from
Rare
listening and
replay.
learning from you
Rare
three
replay popped out.
over the past
keep
few
that
weeks, just
hot mess where it
understanding
is.
what's happening with Xbox, is that we see trends with player behavior where people are playing on multiple devices. That is the reality. And we have put some games out
Hell,
on
he
multiple
play on multiple
platforms
devices. Everybody
before.
seen him on
So my
Smash?
understanding is that
Yeah.
that's been good for players. How
Shit,
does that come back to the business with all of that?
I mean, listen,
Yeah,
several of
as
their
you said, we
games have
have
sold better on
games
the
on other
Switch than they did
platforms. In
on their
fact,
home console.
realistically, if you
Because
look
that's
with
where the
the
fan base
addition of
is,
Activision and
to be
Blizzard
fair.
and ZeniMax, we're one of
Like
the
Ori.
largest game publishers on PlayStation. We're one of the largest publishers on the Nintendo Switch, especially when you put Minecraft into the equation as well. And now we're one of the
You
largest
got lucky
publishers
having Minecraft.
on mobile
Don't act
devices as well.
don't
And
act
that's
like
not something
y'all just
that
made
we want to
Minecraft
back
and it
away
took
from.
off.
We want to
Yeah.
continue to be building
It took
great
off where you
games
got it.
that millions and millions of people can
It
love,
literally took
and that they
like
can
it
play
was
those
already hitting
games
its
where
stride by
they
the time
want to
y'all
play.
purchased it.
Right.
But we do understand the business success that Xbox has to have. Us as leaders in this business, the
You are
system
not a
today,
leader.
the system that
Don't
all
lie.
companies that we play video games from is a world of you got to be
I'm
growing
gonna
your
call the
business.
bullshit. Y'all ain't leaders.
Growth in an Xbox business is critical to the long-term health of
If y'all
Xbox.
was leaders,
Many
then
people
y'all
know I've been
consoles
on
would have
Xbox
sold
for
well
over
enough,
20
and your
years.
games would have sold well
And I
enough
want
that
to
you
make
don't have
sure
to put them
Xbox is
everywhere
in the
else.
best position for the next 20 years.
True.
That means healthy player community, healthy creator community,
Well,
and
player
healthy
community,
business.
y'all can.
So when we look at
Ain't nobody
opportunities
got a
to
healthy
allow
player
more people to
community.
Nobody
play,
does. I
more
mean,
people to
nobody
Nobody
more
does.
people to
does.
buy, more
No.
people to subscribe, it's all
I
about
mean,
putting
I'll
Xbox
give
in
it
the
to them.
best
They did
position.
try to
And our
do the
hardware is a
community thing to
critical
try to
component of
copy
that. The
Miiverse,
absolute
but that
best
did not go
experience
well.
somebody has on Xbox is hardware that
Yeah.
your team builds
Mhm.
and that people play on. But that's not going to be everybody. We fully accepted that we're going to have Xbox players across all kinds of devices.
So I think a lot of people think about 2023 as this incredible year for gaming. And in a lot
Actually
of ways it
embracing
was.
play
There were
anywhere.
some really amazing releases that I think we all enjoyed. But what were the signals behind the scenes that maybe indicated how we wanted to look at the future of Xbox and how we kind of keep up with the industry?
Console sales
Yeah,
being
such a
very
good
poor, not
question. And I
selling
think
games very
it's,
well.
as people who care about the
I'm pretty
industry,
sure
which I
that's what
assume is
went on
people who are
behind the
watching
scenes.
this, it was an
Like a
amazing
head
year.
coach
Some
cussing
great
out his
launches,
team because
some
they
of those
made a
games that I think will
horrible
stand the
ass play
test
on
of
the
time
court.
and people will be talking about a decade
Basically.
from now. But it's an industry that didn't really grow.
Shit, I ain't got to be in
And what
that boardroom
happens
to
when an
look at
industry
how
doesn't
Teller
grow?
was mad at
Um,
everybody.
you end up with some job eliminations,
True.
which we had. We had even our own hard decisions to make about building a sustainable business for ourselves, but in no way were we alone in that. When you think about a healthy
In
industry,
other
I
words, if
want
we don't make
players who
money,
believe
this
that they will
whole
find the
division
best
gets shut
games on the
down
platforms
and
that they
millions of
love.
people
Mhm.
lose
I
their
want
jobs.
people who
Yeah.
invest their careers in working here to feel like this is a place that
Chanel, I
they
don't
can
think
be
so.
successful.
Not
And that
yet,
really
anyway.
is down to being part of an industry that's
No.
growing. If you
No, they
listen to
don't.
Lisa Su, the
It
AMD
actually, I think
CEO,
it
she'll
did
say
for
that
a minute, but
AMD
Did
powered
for a
they
minute.
took it
consoles
away
are
because it
likely to
wasn't working
decline
well.
in
It was on
2024. I
Xbox
think
One, and
there's
it
an
didn't
amazing
work.
set of games
Mhm.
coming in
Yeah, because it
2024.
launched with
But
it,
if we
didn't it?
don't get to
Yeah, and
grow
then they
Yeah.
took it. Then
as
they
an
took it out.
industry will struggle. And today
Yeah,
there's
because
really
it
two
it
choices on
staggered
how do you grow the
horrible.
industry. Do you say I have a fixed
It's
number of
horrible
players,
now.
the players that we have today, and do I find new ways to monetize those players to get more money from the players that I have? Or do you think about how do I expand the
Hey
business I
Nintendo, you
have
got some
by
customers for
finding
us?
new players and
Can we borrow
adding
with you?
those to the base of players that already play?
Well,
Our focus on
one thing is
Xbox
they
for
need
the
to
last
cut down this
decade
live
has really been
service
on
list
that
because
latter
one,
point
we
of
don't
how do
have
we make sure
the
Xbox is
national IT
growing, growing
infrastructure
for
to
our
make it
players,
work.
growing for our creators,
So
so
stop
those
trying to
people are
push.
finding success on our platform, which which will grow the Xbox business and put
And those
Xbox in a
bloated,
position
A lot
to
of
be very
service games are
strong for
costing
years.
too much money, and on top of that, they're
Matt,
not
earlier
that
you were
good.
talking about these growing gaming communities, how they're incredibly large. And comparable.
And they also only really work
level
on
when we
PC
think
mobile.
about console audiences, like you mentioned Roblox, you mentioned Fortnite. So how are we're obviously thinking about our responsibility, our hardware responsibility is supporting the growth of gaming communities. How has that actually shown up for the players? Are there other games we can speak to from our portfolio?
Well, as Phil mentioned, I mean, two of the biggest ones for us, Call of Duty and Minecraft, I mean, they are driven just from the bottom up by the communities of people that play those games, which is so great. I think
definitely Minecraft. Call of Duty.
It comes down to where are the friends, where are the people you play with, and then equally important is where have you built up your library of games, right? Where have you invested? Where's
I haven't built,
those two
y'all
things
bought a library of
some
games.
of the biggest influences on where
Now
people
he was saying like
choose to
where
play
don't
and
use.
devices to play.
Yeah.
Because he was
When we
saying like
think
the
about
friends. He was like
on the
'cause
other
when you
side,
talk
the
about,
developer side,
how you choose
any game developer
like where your
wants their
friends at,
game to
and you know what I'm
find
saying,
the
where your
biggest
library is
audience
at as
possible.
far as
That's
games
just the
concerned.
nature
But
of
as far
building
as
a
the
game. You want
Xbox
people to
owner,
enjoy and
unless you bought a whole bunch of
participate in
third
what you've
party,
made.
they don't have much
And
as far
I
as
think
first person.
we're in a unique position
man told me
to
right
deliver
now.
on that just because we are the platform. We
buy
build
a bunch of
hardware.
third-party,
We've got a first-party games
you're
group,
not
and then we've
getting
got
that
a
much.
system that ties
Right.
that together, that brings together your
Sony
friends,
got like
your
12
progression, your
exclusives
achievements,
after
all of that.
5
I think
years.
that's really what is
And some of
contributing
those
to the
exclusives ain't
momentum
really
behind some of these
exclusive because, like, if you go
Yeah,
to PC, that's
absolutely. I
not
mean, when you
exclusive.
look at just step back
No,
and think
I'm
about
not
the
even
history
counting.
of the
I'm
industry,
counting just
we've
the ones that are
moved
solely
from
on
a place where it
PS5.
used to be that someone
They
built
might
and
not
launched
be
a game to
exclusive for very
accelerate
long.
hardware to actually the things we do with our hardware and with our platform are all in service of
Like
making
that
those
damn timed
games bigger.
exclusive
And we
DLC
think
for
about
fucking
that across all
Hogwarts
of the
Legacy.
investments we make, the consoles we build, the investments we do with things like cross-play, cross-progression, the things that we're doing with cloud. How do we actually give more
Oh
options to
gosh, this
game
is
creators so
boring.
they can have the greatest success? I
Me
think one of
and
the,
you
And,
exclusive
and the
board.
bad thing is,
recent
I want to
examples
say that
about this
for
is
her
actually
because
Power World.
she's a good
Power
personality.
World was able to launch. They were
I
game
mean,
preview. They
what was
launched in
Reggie?
Game Pass. They also
Reggie was the same
simultaneously
thing.
launched in Steam.
Pretty much.
So the
But Reggie
combination of those
seemed to
things,
have a little bit more
Pocket Fair
pizzazz. This is
able to
just
have this outsized
dry.
success, and it was the
Reggie
largest
was. Ain't
third-party
Reggie a
Game Pass
slow?
launch ever. And that's
He's
all
right
because
cousin.
I
we
think
give
so.
creators options on how
I
they can
think
launch their
so.
games. We've got subscription, we've got
Maybe it
retail,
was
we've got
fear
free
that
to play, we've
everybody
got free preview, we have the
had when
consoles,
it
we
came
have
to
our
Reggie.
experience on PC, and they can access all of those things. And when we step back and we just look at the performance of our platform all up, we know it's working. We're at the highest level of users on console, the highest level of users on PC, the highest level of users on cloud.
Might be
Ever.
high
We have double-digit growth rate on PC and
Hey,
cloud.
no,
This
how
is
you
where
gonna
we're
have the
enabling
highest
creators
users
to
on
actually reach
console when your
new players
console
beyond the
has
console
the lowest
ecosystem.
sales?
And that's why we're leaning into it and doing more
think
because
About
we
to say,
see
this
all
is
those
their
signals.
this is a high.
We're talking
Yeah,
about
about to
the
say their
role that
console.
hardware
Yeah, I'm
plays
about to
for
say if
They, they,
creators, for the
they,
games and those
they speaking in
communities. What
global
about the
terms
role
in a
that hardware
relative
plays for us as a
situation.
business for
yeah,
Xbox?
like
When
my
we
thing
look at
is
our
it
hardware, it
higher than
really is,
360?
and
I'll
Phil
be
said this
surprised.
earlier,
Nope.
it's where you
I
get
feel like
like the
360 was
most
kind of going to be
flagship
your
seminal
highest.
experience of
because the Wii U
Xbox.
and the Switch
And it also
game
represents a developer target. Our
software
developers
adaptation
can
ratio
build
is
the specs of our
ridiculous,
hardware,
Right.
and we
and
invest to
they
make
don't.
sure they
I
know
know
when
they
they
don't
do
have
that, that the games are
No.
going to run
Yeah, I'm
great
pretty
on
sure
our
they're speaking
hardware,
about
but they're
for
also going to be
themselves.
able to
Yeah.
be
And then of course
accessed
for
across
cloud,
any
of course, I
stream,
mean you're
any
the only ones in
screen
that
because
space
of
for real.
all the
So
other investments we make. So we're giving them an easy way to access as many players as possible. And we actually have more creators right now
Well,
building
cloud is
games
just
for
them and
Xbox than
Amazon
ever
basically,
before by nature.
and
Thousands of
Apple. So yeah, they could probably make that claim about being
we
the
got more
biggest
to
in the
come. There's
cloud.
some exciting stuff coming out in hardware that we're going to share this holiday. And we're also
Hardware.
invested in the next generation roadmap. And what we're really focused on there is delivering the largest technical leap you will have ever seen in a hardware generation,
my
which
goodness.
makes it
Don't
better for
focus on
players
that
and
stupid
better
shit
for
again.
creators and the visions that they're building.
And then when we're
This
talking about
again.
hardware too, there's these other considerations that are
Don't
really
focus
important to
on
our
that dumb
community and
shit.
probably to each one
Focus
of
on something
ourselves as well.
smaller,
When
quicker.
you talk about library, because I want to dig
Especially
in
if you
on
won't be
that a little
using
bit
cloud any
more.
damn way.
As we talk about cloud in the wider entertainment industry, there's conversations about streaming. How is that impacting how I own my content that I've invested in? So what can we say about our stance
Simple as
around
that.
game preservation?
You don't.
Yeah, one of the
Licensing.
highlights for me of being in this position was getting to stand on stage when we announced back compat coming to Xbox One. Like it was fantastic. People were reading developer.
Oh, you mean when you announced you were charging for it?
And just feeling the energy in the
That was when
auditorium
they
as you were
announced they
saying
were
that and on the
charging for backwards
one of
compatibility.
the
Everybody
cues I
forgets
think
that.
us as being part of Microsoft is looking at Windows and
Like,
how
oh, you'll have
Windows
backwards
over the
compatibility if you
decades
have Xbox
has
Live.
maintained software compatibility with
You
things
forgot
that
it
are
started
built
out
today.
that way.
Like I can still go back and play some of the games that I love playing on Windows from decades ago, and it will still run. And we try to bring that same view to consoles. It's harder in console because the
He is
line between what the
oversimplifying.
hardware is and what the game is in consoles is traditionally it's tighter, which makes compatibility. You end up doing these generational compatibilities that we've built. But I will say compatibility, the ability to not only play the games, but my saves are still there with our cloud save systems to try to keep the services up as long as we can so that people can play, is a tenet of what we are as Xbox. It's at our foundation. And when we look at future hardware generations and what we're going to support, making sure that we respect, which is the word I use, respect the investments that people have made in Xbox going forward is fundamental. And the fact that you get entitlements when you buy a
But y'all
game from
didn't
us
do
on both
that
Windows and
the
Xbox
Xbox One.
also means you have the ability to play that game across a multitude of devices, which I think furthers the compatibility of the games that you own.
Can we go back to what Xbox stands for today? I think we've pretty much covered all of the elements, but if you could break it down for me.
Plastic box.
You know, when you play on Xbox, what we're saying is you're playing on a platform where you know the biggest games in the world are always going to be. You're
So
playing on
y'all
a
got
platform where you
Mario,
can access
y'all got
Game
Legend of
Pass.
Zelda,
And all
y'all
of the
got
games
Pokemon.
from our incredible range of studios will always launch in Game
think
Pass
somebody's
from
lying.
day one.
We got Power World,
And you're
sir.
playing on a
Power
platform
World
that's
has started
dedicated
to
to
decline.
you, like
So
player first
that ain't even that don't even count.
cross save, cross progression.
Power World turned into the worst
Being
case
able to
of
play your games in your
post
library anywhere you want
nut
because of the
clarity for
investments
people.
that we make in cloud gaming. And so you're playing somewhere where you're investing and you know you get to take the games forward with you and across all of the screens where you
She know what she's doing.
And I think most
That's what she's
importantly,
there for. She's
Xbox
there
is
to
a place
hammer
where
the
you
same
know
point
when you're
over and
investing
over
in
again.
Xbox, you're investing somewhere that is
Because
dedicated
if
to
Phil
making
did it, everyone
games
would
more
be mad at Phil.
successful
But
and
she does
creators
it,
more
people are not going to be mad at
so
her.
that they
That's
can
her job.
invest more to bring
See,
even
Zodia
better
know what I'm talking
experiences to
about.
you all of the time.
Game of the year.
Yeah,
About,
just
boy.
that investment in the studios
How you
is
going to
great.
have Game
We
of the
feel
Year for
that
a
as
game
part
that
of
is
first
not
party with
completely
the
released?
platform proximity.
Hey,
it's
PUBG did it.
kind of amazing now to look out
Dude, it's Jeff
across
Keighley.
PUBG
all the
shouldn't have
studios
done
we've got
Dude, it's Jeff
and
Keighley.
just be reminded that we're now
It's
one of the
Jeff Keighley.
biggest
Come on, you know he's
development
gonna do it.
organizations
It's the
in the
Doritos
industry.
Coke.
What does that mean for
As
players?
long as it's on
It
PlayStation,
means
he'll
that
do
the
it.
biggest games are going to keep coming
Everybody
from
fueled up off
Xbox.
of Mountain Dew and
And
Doritos.
this 2024, the year coming up, we've got more than 10 major releases coming up. Great stuff. Hellblade 2. We've got Diablo
that's more than
expansion. We've got Avowed, Ara, the Indiana Jones game. And there's more in development, which I think we're going to be able to share more about at our June showcase coming up pretty soon.
Well, I guess I should get
June
ready to
showcase.
work on that show.
AKA
Hold on,
E3.
is Diablo
Well, thank you
4
all
on
for
Switch
showing
yet?
up on the podcast
No.
today, and
No, it's
we'll
not
see the
coming
rest
out.
of
So it
you
will be.
soon.
It's going to be.
Thank you.
Not at least
I can guarantee it.
Okay. All right.
That
So
was boring.
okay, so let me get this straight. So basically, the 4 games is probably coming to everywhere. Hi-Fi Rush, Rare Replay, Sea of Thieves, and I can't think of what the last one would be. That was the 4 that actually makes
They
sense.
already talked about Diablo 4 because it's not on. As far as I know, it's not on PS5.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
I get the feeling it's going to be Diablo 4, Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves. I'm not so sure about Rare Replay. I think that might just specifically go to Nintendo.
Okay, because I'm gonna say that's that one because I know them sales figures ain't right.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, I figure with that game being as old as it is, they might just let that go.
Yeah.
But I mean, if he said 2 community games,
Yeah.
and then 2
Well,
other
that's
ones.
Sea of Thieves. One of them is Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, Sea of Thieves, and then
Sea of
what
Thieves.
about Grounded's one that didn't really.
Yeah, Grounded would probably fit well.
Yeah. Because
So,
look, the thing is, and this goes back to Sony and Microsoft themselves, and they have only themselves to blame about this, is how they cultivate their community. Since they love to throw the term at their community, it's their problem. They're the one that cultivated this third party is better than everything community, and so when they do get an exclusive game, and they wonder why people don't play it, Hi-Fi Rush. You got to
Overdrive.
Yeah, you got to convince people to play Hi-Fi Rush and Sunset Overdrive, and they don't, and those numbers ain't matching up because I'm like, that ain't what y'all want. That's why I be laughing when I see people be saying, "Oh, well, we want Zelda on Xbox." You ain't gonna play it, so
you would not play it.
You're not going to play it. Stop lying.
You're just going to put it on the list of games that you have. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. The only thing I can see that community actually really playing is probably Metroid.
No,
and that's a stretch.
And that's a
stretch. Yeah,
well,
that wasn't even a stretch.
Not the two, not the side scrollers, not the two.
like
no.
Prime.
Yeah, okay.
Prime, yes. Prime, I can see them doing that. And the other thing too is the whole they constantly keep repeating themselves, so it makes me think they're lying. And the whole thing, the body language of Phil, he was lying his ass off.
He's uncomfortable as hell.
He was uncomfortable as hell. He was lying his ass off. So you can tell by the way he was
wanted him to say that stuff.
He was doing all this. I'm like, bro, why are you so nervous?
Yeah.
Like, dude, this is your thing. You had time to practice this.
Because he's not happy with it. You can tell he's not happy with the choices.
Unless he's like Steve Ballmer to where he can't really present like that. And he get nervous while he's doing it. That's about the only thing
I wouldn't say that because he was happy to do so many other presentations.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This one he ain't. So look, I don't have an issue with what they're trying to do. I really don't, because they don't. I truly believe that either they're in one of two positions. Either A, those shareholders are like, show me my money. Or and they're like, look, I don't give a damn about what time they need. I want my bonus now. So I think that's one issue that they have right now, because look, if you want to make these huge games, this is going to take years.
Right.
It's going to take years
and a lot of money.
Games, and we're going to talk about one on Sunday that should not have cost as much as it cost. And they're like, well, it was our first game. Then why did you make a game that costs that much?
Right.
In a genre that, doesn't track well for that.
Right.
You would have came out better.
Everything has to be a blockbuster.
Yeah. And that comes from suits. That doesn't come from gamers. The thing that people hate or love about Nintendo, depending on what side of the fence you fall on, is Iwata them boys, they all gamers. They gamers first. So when you be sitting there saying, "Oh, they behind the times, they don't have the up-to-date graphics," like, yeah, but you wouldn't buy it if they were in line with Sony or Microsoft. How many times? Next time somebody on in the Sony or Xbox camp ask you that, ask them what would make them buy a game on the Switch if all three were comparable. They won't be able to tell you.
Nothing.
They won't.
Yeah.
So you're like, that's why instead of looking at them like, yeah, we're just gonna do our own thing. We're just gonna do our own thing. Oh, but it's so the graphics are so horrible. Then why are you playing?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't want to hear that from anybody who's sitting here emulating PS1, PS2, 64, Sega Saturn, and anything below that on their PC, which more than not half of them are doing, because they're playing those games. They're like, and those look far worse than anything on the Switch, so it don't make a difference.
Yeah.
Just looking for an excuse to bitch.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm at a point where I'm just like, okay, I get what y'all trying to do, and look, if that's what they got to do to save their game division, then do it. That's how I feel about it.
So here's my take. I mean, the presentation is what it was.
Yeah,
but
it is.
Looking at the bigger picture as far as gaming is concerned, when we look at both Xbox and Sony, I think they've dug too deep. Like they have to have a clean turnaround point, and this is a conversation we've had, numerous times as into what's the direction of both of these companies. Like we can't really figure out the direction of Nintendo because you just can't predict Nintendo. But when we look at Xbox, I've said it myself, they can't afford to do a AA. Sony can't afford to do a AA because you've pushed this narrative, you've allowed your community to get toxic from this, I got the strongest console, my game runs the best at 60 frames. Granted, yeah, it took like 55 updates, but it got there.
Yeah.
My like Resident Evil runs a frame better than your Xbox version, so therefore my game is better. So you've allowed your community to get bad. So there was no turnaround point. You now have to start producing and continue producing $200-300 million budget games, because this is what you've kind of gotten them accustomed to. It's kind of like paying alimony. Like you got your wife accustomed to this
Ouch.
taste, so now you have to continue to pay to help her sustain that living situation. So if you want to make some type of change, some type of alteration, you're going to have to go and step out on that fully, lose people, and then gain a new crowd. I don't think they have the time or the resources to do that, especially Microsoft. I mean Xbox, because Microsoft definitely wants to get rid of Xbox at this point. But if you look at some of the big wigs that have come out and spoke, they think exclusives are stupid. And to them, they don't care because they're not gamers. They don't want you to drive to one platform. They want you to just buy said product. I mean, we see that with movies, we see that with TV shows. Like one thing you'll see thinking that it's exclusive to Netflix, tomorrow will be on Paramount Plus because they don't care. It's like, where is it going to gravitate more people? Where are there more people? Okay, get it over there so they can watch it, so they can consume it. They don't own it. So at this point, we can put it wherever we want to put it. So right now, like Phil said, I mean, they want it everywhere. Where they're on PCs, they're on Samsung TVs, they're on phones, they're on, their device in itself, or anything that has, anything that can use Game Pass. So I think at this point, Xbox is going to spread their net wide. They're going to cast it wide, see who they can catch. Once they catch those people, I think the enticing bill, like we said before, is, hey, if you really like that game, we may either continue putting it over there, or if you want to play it a year ahead of time, come over to Game Pass and play it over here on Xbox. So trying to go and fish in other ponds and oceans to then reel them into the main area where they want them to be. So I mean, I think that's a smart idea because they have the money to do it. They bought enough companies to do it. To have a variety type of games, because they really narrowed down their fan base to shoot 'em ups. Like, hey, I saw the comments today. Yeah, Nintendo might have had the right idea as far as doing what they're doing, but they just make kiddie games. They go towards kiddie stuff, and it's like, no, they
That's where
market.
people don't pay attention to nothing.
They don't pay attention, and they don't want to. But the thing is, it's like they cast to everyone. You understand that the main dollar is going to come from everyone, not just a main demographic. Is like, I saw a content creator at one point in time. He was like, a lot of people speak ill of Facebook and all this other stuff, and that, oh, it's old news. You should be over on Snap. You should be over on Instagram. But they was like, hey, the people that spend the real money is over on Facebook. That's where your grandma, that's where your auntie, that's the people that spend the money. They over at Facebook. So that's where I think it was Country Wayne that said it. He was like, that's why I put all my stuff over there on Facebook, because that's where the people that got the money will come and buy my product. So you kind of have to go where you need to go, because you kind of created this platform that's not going to buy a Hi-Fi Rush. They're not going to buy a Sunset Overdrive. They're not going to buy an Ori. So unfortunately, they're not going to buy a Cuphead. So unfortunately, that's just where you are right now. And hopefully this fixes it. I don't know what they do as far as consoles are concerned going from here, because they said that they're making like a bigger leap at the end of this year.
They can't.
I don't know what that meant.
Yeah, because one, if you the only leap you can say is, are you going 8K? One, what TV does that? Two, who's going to buy that? Three, are you forgetting that people have to make money to buy your stuff? You can't sit up and sell no $1,000 console. Nobody gonna buy that.
No,
not one parent gonna buy that.
I don't know what that route is. So I mean, kudos to them if they know something I don't. They got the R&D team for it. They make the big bucks. I don't. Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we're gonna see something very similar come from Sony, and we all can agree this was a boring presentation, but I think their hand was forced because these non, reputable, quote unquote, reporters forced their hand, and they freaked everybody out. So you have to come out and say something. But I feel like Sony, they kind of slid theirs in a little bit. Like they slid it in the midst of all of this. But I think they're going to come out and say the same thing. Like, we have to start casting our net a little wider than what we do, because while we spend $200 to $300 million on these games and y'all love them, there's no way in the world this game should only be selling 10 million. There's no way this game should only be selling 20 million. Like, y'all should have, they should be on Nintendo, if not above numbers, with the way that you look at the wikis, and every Sony console is 80 million and above as far as consoles are concerned.
But your attachment rate is
horrible.
Yeah.
So so I think that's where it comes down to. And I mean, for anybody that uses the excuse of, well, Mario and them sell because they don't have Call of Duty over there, no one's gonna stop buying Mario just because Call of Duty's on the Switch. That doesn't make any sense. Those two totally.
That doesn't. Nobody stopped buying Mario when Call of Duty was on the Wii or the Wii U.
Thank you.
Or
Like
the
it
DS.
existed. It existed.
Matter
So
of fact, the best Call of Duty, Black Ops 2, was on Wii U.
The Wii U. So
And
at the end of the
It
day,
was the nerfed version of the game because they didn't want to release everything for it.
Yeah.
right. So at the end of the day, you know, when I get ready to shut up, it comes down to Microsoft has seen the writing on the wall. Like we're getting too deep in this. Like that pocket. Somebody over there in Microsoft was like, "Hey, chill out." Like y'all, like we went with that billion push.
Yeah.
We had to go to court over this. Chill out.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you know, hopefully this works out for them. I mean, I don't know what games we're going to see. I mean, I think everybody's pretty certain Hi-Fi Rush is going to go everywhere. Like that game needs to go everywhere.
Yeah, definitely.
But ultimately, going from here, I don't think you'll see an Avowed or like a Hellblade go anywhere. But if they have smaller projects that they can feed to Nintendo, or I would say even the multiplayer stuff feed to Sony, you know, because Sony don't want to make multiplayer games. Send it over there and see that crowd eat it up. And I mean, I think you'll win in that regard. I mean, if you want to do a year exclusive, 6 months exclusive, do that. But I think their main pitch is, hey, cross saves, cross play, and then also you get it here first, or you can just get it on Game Pass if you don't want to spend money. It is what it is.
It is.
So,
Sandstorm, you got any thoughts?
Oh man. So I just sat back and let y'all go because I have so much to say, and this presentation was actually really helpful for me because it was a conversation that I was going to have on Saturday anyway. But I'm not going to give the full piece of Saturday's conversation, but I can speak on Microsoft since this is the Microsoft piece. And Jack kind of touched on it. First, I'll say the key piece is dug too deep. The problem with Microsoft overall, their biggest mistake was one that I think that they thought was going to go much differently. And that was, I think they took too much pride into what they had established with the 360. And so because they had a good foot with the 360 when the Xbox One came around, I think they thought they could run that same operation with PC because Windows is on nearly everything. Compared to Apple, is dominant, and technically speaking, Windows is even on Apple too. So them being like, hey, that's our market. We can put games there too, and we can get those extra people. The problem is that Steam did a lot better than I think they really anticipated. And I think that's what garnered them to be like Game Pass. Like this is similar, but this is different from Steam, where Steam, you have to buy these games in order to enjoy these games. We will give you all the games, third party, first party, as long as we pay for them. Like you can have them in a Netflix style. These can be two separate things and you can enjoy them. Looking back at that I think the realization is, regardless if those are digital games or not, people are still buying digital games over wanting a service for those games in that aspect. And because of that, you can't turn that model around. Like once they stepped into that model,
it was over.
It's basically over. So Phil talked about game exclusive.
Sandstorm, 1 second. Hi, Vicky.
Hi, Vicky.
What's up, Vicky? How you doing?
Yo, Debo.
Phil talked about game exclusivity getting smaller. This is also something that is mostly I wouldn't say mostly. It is really all their fault. And what ended up happening is that, like Sony, they have a bunch of exclusive titles, but they spent most of the time banking on the fact that a lot of people like their third party titles that were coming to their systems as well. And because of that, the importance of needing a first party title became less and less. People were buying Xboxes to buy third party games. People were buying Sony products to buy these third party games. That is not as strong anymore, once again, for Microsoft, because now people are not buying Xbox for third-party games. So now one of the products that is supposed to be your mainstay product, and I think they look too heavy into Nintendo for this. One of the mainstays for people buying your product is not one of those things anymore.
Right.
And if you look at Nintendo and how they operate, they can sell you a system that will always sell, but even during its time, during the Wii U times, all they needed to do is sell one game in order to create a profit. And so I think both Microsoft and Sony is now kind of moving into that area too, is that we need to get this software out here because that's what people actually want. They don't really care about where it comes from, as long as they got their hands on it and as long as we're getting that money, that's ultimately fine. We've known about this for a while. But that does not necessarily mean, it means game exclusivity is getting smaller because Nintendo is really the only one who's like doing it hands down. But that also means that you're giving people less of a reason, like we've said, to actually buy the system that you want to buy it for in the first place. And to make matters worse, now you're giving them an additional reason to buy it from another party, like Steam or something like that. So now what would have been a first party title like Diablo 4 is now a third party, once again, title that you bought as an exclusive to become a third party title so you can get it everywhere else.
Right.
So
because you got to make the money back.
You have to make the money back. And unfortunately, like I said, you kind of put yourself in a corner. And he said we were, there's different layers, creating layers, or, do we set up a model like a pay model or something like that? Or do we expand in, different areas to be able to get our games out? The one thing that would actually help both Microsoft and Sony, and you will have to take the bad. You will have to take that whooping before it starts getting good. And it's unfortunate, but like we've also said, you've ran this operation for so long that people now expect it. But when you choke out that operation and say, look, we ain't doing that no more. This is where we're going now. Either people can drift away or people can follow suit, and people will drift away.
Right.
But eventually they will have to follow suit because you're not giving them another option. This
Correct.
is the same thing. This is the same way that Nintendo works.
Yep.
Like you can play on the Wii, you can play on the Wii U, you can have your Switch games, all that other stuff. But when we're moving on, like you're gonna buy another system. Yeah,
we're moving on.
You can't play all of our new stuff on the old stuff. Like that's not gonna happen.
And we're giving you a reason to do that. So.
Yes, exactly. So what they would have to do is, like Jack said, you will have to come up with a legitimate fresh start. Like, hey, Game Pass, this is where Game Pass ends. And just like with Wii U and doing the eShop, people are going to complain and moan and be like, this is anti-consumer. And you have to stick your ground.
Yes.
Like, these are the last games coming as of 2025. These are the games. They will still be there for you if you ever want to buy them on Steam. Game Pass will still be around, but these are the only games you're getting. After this point, you cannot get this game. You cannot get this game. Moving forward, all of our games will be stuff that you have to buy. And the only way you're going to be able to get it is on an Xbox console. Is on a PlayStation console. Like all of that other stuff, all of that Steam stuff, even the Windows. I don't even know if they still have a Windows library like that, do they?
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Okay. Honestly, it doesn't matter. I would even say, even on the Windows stuff, like shut down. It's all shut down. We closing up shop. None of that. And people will moan. People will complain. Your sales will be low for a good year or two. You're going to have to tell your investors, sorry, look, this is for a greater purpose. This is for a greater idea. We have the money to keep us afloat for a while. Trust me, it will work. And it will work. I guarantee you. You come out with another Fable or anything like that, and you tell them that you can only get this for Xbox, and you make it appealing.
They'll do it.
They will buy it. You still have loyalists. Nintendo still has loyalists, and Sony still has loyalists. Those people will buy it, and they will speak about it. And when they speak about it, the media speaks about it. And when the media speaks about it, yeah, it'll eventually grow up again. But as of right now, both Sony and Microsoft running on this operation of like, now we have to move stuff to PC because we have to get these additional people, is what the consumer wanted you to do in the first place, and it's not healthy. It's really not
going to work.
No,
it's not going to work in the end.
Because I would even say this. I will even say to this point, and this is kind of sneaking into what we're going to talk about on Saturday. The fact that a company has their own studios to be able to produce for those systems in particular, and now you have to tell them, hey, you also have to do this for others as well, whether that be Microsoft doing it for Sony and Microsoft doing it for PC, which is not a big deal for them, but Sony doing it for them as well as doing it for PC as well. And now you have to control where that's going as far as like Steam, like who are you placing those games out to, and kind of constricting that ultimately loses fans.
Yeah.
Because I swear on everything, if games started coming that were from Nintendo that started coming to PC, I guarantee you I would like Nintendo less. Like I bought the system. I want your system because you do it specifically this way. And you know what this actually feels like? I know I'm going on a tangent, but you know what this really actually feels like? It actually feels like Microsoft versus Apple. Like Apple, like Nintendo is Apple, and Apple, regardless of like, yeah, they've got Microsoft stuff on there, but they're still Apple at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? You're not getting this, and you're not getting that, and you're not getting this of Apple's products on Microsoft on a PC. Like it's just it's not happening. If you want it, you get it from Apple. That's all you get.
Now there are some things that go both ways, but yeah, their main stuff. No, you're not getting nowhere. But
and they don't care what their fans really
think.
They don't really
care.
But at the end of the day, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, you want that? We'll see if you can go find that like an off brand or something like that from. It ain't gonna be from us, and it ain't gonna be as great as ours. But go ahead and do that.
I think the other thing too is because they kind of hinted at it. They bleeding money, and I'm like, well, stop, doggone, stop doing the things that's like that. I'm looking at stuff like Breath of the Wild. That was like Nintendo's most expensive one they made. That wasn't even $20 million.
Nope.
Yeah,
they made all that back, by the way.
Yeah.
Plus,
they made all that back within the first week.
Plus. So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, and they keep saying, "Oh yeah, our next console's gonna push the bounds even further." And do what exactly?
If you're not pushing the boundaries through innovating, like what you're actually doing, and you're just pushing the boundaries on graphics, it's going to fail again.
Well, another thing too, you can't hit the stuff that you claim you're supposed to hit now. You can't hit it, not consistently.
So one thing I will say to this, and it sucks because this is talk about Saturday again, but one thing I will say to this, and this is the only thing I think, because I watched Rich review text his like latest about Sony. The one thing I will say that he's actually kind of on the right track, but he's not on the right rails, is that while Sony and Microsoft and their fans believe that they're like pushing gaming forward or pushing the innovation or the envelope forward, everybody else has moved on to like the Nintendo train. And I know we're Nintendo fans, but like it's true though. Like it's not about pushing the graphics or anymore, pushing the power or anything like that. It's how small you can make the form factor. And even to the point that now we're getting in the computer, like the little Lenovo's and all that other stuff that can run these games, maybe not as well as, you know, a powerhouse PC, but they can run these games and you can pay them for almost the same amount as what you would a PlayStation or an Xbox. So why, if you can get the 2-for-1, since both of those systems are now putting their games on PC, why would you get one or the other when you can get both through something else? So I think for Microsoft, that's got to be scary to them. Like that's like,
to an extent,
you don't want to really go third party, because that I won't say that kills business, but it changes up your whole model. It changes up your whole model.
True. Well, to that point, real quick, I think one of the key things that we've always visited is if we ever get to this point to where these companies go third party, you know, it begs to differ. Like, okay, where will somebody play? There will be people that will always play on PC because they love messing around with stuff. They love the best of the best. They understand, hey, I can get a 4070 today, and probably about 6 months we're gonna have a 5070. Like they understand like what that is, and they understand what comes with that. You even see now with the handheld PCs, right? Is like those of us that would like to get into PC gaming, we don't want the full headache. Understand there's part of the headache there, but we like the I guess you could say the portability of it, the same way we chose the Switch. And I think with that same mindset, Microsoft understands that there's people that just want to play on PC. They understand there's people that want to play on console. There's people that want to play mobile. Now, when you look at Nintendo, I feel like where they never get caught in this realm, even if, let's say, on just the most random situation that Nintendo decides to put their first party somewhere else, Nintendo's consoles are never the same. They build their console around the game idea that they create. So when we talk about Sony and we talk about Microsoft, the one key thing we always ask these people on Twitter, even some of our people that come on and comment, what would make, like, what's the difference between Xbox and Sony? Like, what's the difference? Like, other than the controller button situation and then the layout of the sticks. In reality, they're the same freaking system. Like, minus a few things here and there. Like, Microsoft did a good thing by having quick resume. That's something that Sony can't mimic right now. Like, now I guarantee it'll be in the next console, but it's something that they're not mimicking right now. But when you look at Nintendo, while a lot of people complain about them being behind, that also goes to those that have to understand, like, you're never going to be caught up with tech. It's best for you to take the things that have already been tested and proven to work that you can utilize and take time with, and then make your profit from it and max it out. But the thing is, when you constantly jump into the next thing, then your developers suffer, and then you suffer, because now not only are you bleeding, but now it's taking you 4 or 5 years to get that banger out. Right. To where, like, and imagine it's just one. Because the only company right now that gets away with that is Rockstar. And even when we look at the map of Rockstar's existence, Rockstar used to release multiple games. They're down to possibly 2 if you want to count Red Dead. So at this point, we're getting least amount of games for, I guess you could say, better fidelity, bigger open world. Depends on what you're talking about. But in all honesty, I think, to get back to what you were saying, the only way that Microsoft escapes what you're talking about is if they get out of this one controller under your TV box. This thing has to do more than what your average PC can afford you. We're not in those days of PC anymore to where you have to use keyboard and mouse. Every controller, including the DualSense function, works on PC.
Yep.
So there's no benefit at that point. Sony just lost the one-up. The one-up was the controller. Those drivers are now on PC. So when you talk about Joy-Cons and things of that nature and the portability, blah, 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 PC can't replicate that right now unless you go and get one of these handhelds. And even the Legion Go try to mimic the whole Joy-Con thing, but those things are so freaking huge. It's just like you can't do it. You can't really do it. Yeah. So when we look at this next console, the Switch 2, whatever the case may be, Nintendo's going to take that same approach. As much as people want them to just, enhance it to keep the same format, too many people have played copycat. We gotta step away right now, because now y'all trying to mimic. Y'all may not have gotten the same success, but I need y'all to get out my space. Let me go over here in another lane. I'll let y'all have that. Let y'all figure it out, and I'll go figure out something else. So in the event we do decide to start releasing games on PC, you know where you're gonna come first, because you can't experience it the same way you do here.
Right. That's the thing. It's about the experience. It's not just about the exclusivity. It's about that. How do you feel when you play that game?
Right.
And for all of the it's kitty. Wind Waker ain't kitty, dude, when you play that damn story.
No.
Astral Chain ain't kitty.
Unless you know they don't play it. They
just anything that got the word Xenoblade and Chronicles in it ain't kitty.
Right. Well, let's switch up what the term really is. It's not realism.
Yeah.
As far as graphics are concerned. That's just what it is.
It's anime realism if you're an anime fan, but yeah.
we know what it is.
Yeah. But
even those arguments are pointless.
Yeah.
True.
This actually got me thinking about something right when y'all was talking. Perfect Dark. We hadn't seen hide nor hair that thing since 2019.
And I told you.
We've seen nothing. We've
shadow ban. That game got shadow canceled.
But hold on. I don't think it got shadow banned. Why I got a feeling y'all get the sneaking feeling that might be one of those games he's talking about. And the only reason why I say that is because if you know that there's a pretty good chance you ain't gonna make the money you want to make, and I know I got a better chance of hitting my sales numbers by playing off nostalgia.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that if you're gonna do it, it's only gonna be exclusive to Nintendo, and they'll do the same. They'll run that same operation they did with GoldenEye. You'll find out that it's on Nintendo Switch Online with the original Perfect Dark, and then and then maybe possibly later, either you find it on the Switch or the Switch 2, the new version.
Yeah, like the success, whatever success.
Yeah, I was about to say the exact thing. I'm thinking more or less if they do that, they're gonna start with the first Perfect Dark, the remaster that they put out for 360 that ended up everywhere else. Just go ahead and put that on the Switch.
Yeah,
and potentially make it cross-play first, and then work from there.
Gotcha. Well, that being said, I mean, at this point, it was hilarious to me. This was like a funny one to me. I know most people found it boring. I found it funny. So,
I mean, I could find the humor in it, but they were boring, and the fact that they used Sarah Bond basically. They use Sarah Bond as a shield to repeat the same thing over and over. I was like, yeah, that's her job. That's why she there. So Phil don't have to say it.
Well, that's the thing. They did not want to do this.
Right.
So,
no, they didn't. You could tell they didn't.
It was clear by the way the questions were set up, by the way they were acting, the body language, and by the lady that's asking the questions kept repeating herself. I'm like, look, I know you're trying to act like you're trying to get at some information, but I know you were told before. I know you were told before then they weren't going to answer that. So stop doing that.
At this point, I'm telling you, like, if I'm Microsoft or I'm Xbox, like, I'm figuring out who it was that started spreading this mess.
Yeah,
I'm on your head, because now you forced me to come out and say something that I shouldn't have to come out and say.
And you probably not going to want to see me when I find out who you are and I come to your office.
Right.
You ain't going to want to see me.
Because there's a reason why they retracted their statements after the fact. Like, it was like, why'd you retract it? That was really weird. Yeah.
All right, peeps, that's going to do it for this podcast episode, this reaction. We will be talking about this probably not as deep on Sunday, but we are going to come back to it on Sunday. Leave a comment. Let us know your thoughts on it. And I would like to hear what games y'all think are the 4 that they're talking about. I just would like to hear you guys' thoughts. But I would do our normal what we're pimping out. We'll do that on Sunday.
Right.
So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll see you guys back Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, unless Nintendo tries to drop a direct tomorrow.
See,
Peace
you
out,
shouldn't
people.
have said
Have a
that, now
good
they're
one.
gonna do it.
I know. Peace out, people. Later.
Jeez.
Peace, everybody. I was trying to avoid that.